Want to call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order, and the first order of business is roll call.
Howell? Zach?
Here.
Long?
Here.
Todd?
Here.
Fleming?
Here.
Crawford?
Here.
Woodward?
Here.
Bowman?
Here.
Middleton?
Here, we have a quorum. Next is the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meetings, October 11th and October 19th. Fleming is moving it, Bowman is supporting it. Any discussion on the minutes? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next is a presentation of the agenda. I don't have any surprises this week, so the agenda is as stands. I'll have a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Fleming and Woodward. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next is public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the Finance Committee this morning? I don't see. I see Cunningham's tie though. No other. He gave me a tough time yesterday about my sweater, so I have to get back at him. So, if there's no public comment, we'll move on to contingency. Need a motion to receive and file the 2018-2020 contingency report. Crawford is moving it. Zach is supporting it. So go ahead.
Good morning. On page 1 of the contingency report, which is page 5 of your PDF, you have a general contingency balance for fiscal year 2018 of $300,000, and there are no items on this agenda that impact that amount. You go to page 11 of your PDF,
okay,
which is page 7 of the packet. Under grant match, there's 2 items on today's agenda. Item number 2 for Friend of the Court CRP grant for $262,335. And then item number 4 for the Sheriff's Office Automobile Prevention Authority grant acceptance for $200,938, which leaves a grant match balance of $873,664. On page 16 of your PDF.
What page was that?
16.
16.
PDF is still an informational version of the fiscal year 18 equity. There's 2 items that are using assigned fund balance today. Item number 10, which is the risk management and information technology HIPAA compliance project for $1.1 million. And then item number 11 for Department of Information Technology is $4.2 million.
Okay. Any questions on the contingency report? If not, motion to receive and file. Everyone signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Now we'll go to communications. I'll take a motion to receive and file communications A, B, and C. Todd is moving it. Fleming is supporting it. Are there any questions on communications? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Now we're to the regular agenda. Miscellaneous 17-290, Circuit Court. Approved creation of 1 additional circuit judgeship effective January 1st, 2019. Need a motion. Long and Crawford. Go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for placing this item.
Sorry. Well, Commissioner Java, sorry. What?
Okay.
I moved my microphone.
Oh.
Sorry.
The resolution before you, if approved, would authorize a new judgeship for the Circuit Court. In Michigan, law requires 2 approvals. One is authorizing legislation, which is already in existence. It provides for a new circuit judgeship effective January 1, 2019. And then the second approval that is required is that of the court's funding unit, the Board of Commissioners. So the resolution before you today would authorize that new judgeship. it would be effective January 1, 2019. The reason it's kind of early is because nominating petitions have to be obtained and all of that stuff, and they have to be filed. I think it's in early to mid-April. So given your schedule, we thought it would be better or most beneficial to those who might be prospective candidates to bring this to you early. Our intent is to place this judgeship, if approved, in the family division of the circuit court. That's where we find the greatest need to exist. The Supreme Court, in an attempt to determine judicial need, has come up with something called a weighted caseload formula, and when I apply all of the numbers to that formula, it shows a need in our family division of just greater than one judge. And so this judge, if approved, would be assigned to that division. I know this resolution has been to a couple of committees, and you've got a packed room, so I don't mean to cut it short, but commissioners, perhaps the best thing to do would be to see if you have any questions, and we'd be happy to answer those.
Any questions? If not, Commissioner Woodward?
So, I was dreaming.
Go ahead, Dave.
I had a dream. So, yeah, I mean, I know I spent a considerable amount of time on this topic. And I think that the way I look at it, there are really three things that come up. And I think that I'm getting to the conclusion that the need for a 7th docket to address the family court issue is needed. However, I'm not there to the point that I think we need another judge to be able to do that, because we do have existing capacity to be able to address this. So what I guess, and this is more of a discussion here today, often the judges have been incredibly helpful in providing information. I think it's important for everyone to have a kind of full understanding of what we're talking about, that we had the equivalent of seven dockets in place addressing the family court division. There were issues that emerged that 7 dockets got thrust onto 6 judges because of a desire not to continue to use probate's availability to manage a full docket. And we also took steps, and we're still actually using it right now, of using visiting judges to help manage non-domestic PPO work. I keep going back and forth, and to me it's a math problem. If we need 7 dockets of work to be able to address this issue, the way that we're paying for this, or it's proposed to pay for this on the at least through the court's budget, is to eliminate that visiting judge that was managing all the non-domestic PPOs, and then move those cases back onto, well, if we create this this additional judge, divided over 7 people. What that means, though, and again, this is like a math problem, that we had the capacity of 7 dockets. We got rid of one of those and put it over 6. We created this new role of non-domestic PPOs, and even with the creation of this new judge, that there's actually less judicial capacity to be able to manage all of these pieces. Does that make sense?
No.
7. Yeah. Can I draw a picture?
Because we're gonna get rid of the PPO.
Because the visiting judge will go away and we'll respond. Right. So what I've heard is that down, but case work, because of the time that some of these cases take, there's a statewide formula, and I think that it's fair to have some critique and criticism with some of the, and how these numbers get created, and the Supreme Court says this is how many judges you need to be able to manage these cases. At the end of the day, though, I think the fact that SCAO in his last report didn't demonstrate an urgent need for an additional judge, and the reason why we were left off is because there wasn't I think the way that it's been explained to me, not more than one judge. We're not over more than one, and we're not under more than one. And therefore, Oakland County was not included
2017.
in the 2017 scale report.
Caseload, we weren't over
The
one,
scale.
is that what you're saying?
No, so the recommendation of where judicial staffing should be, that we weren't at,
Over one.
we didn't exceed more than one. I mean, and because of that, we weren't included at all. 2019, there'll be a new report. My concern is that the 2019 report, based on where our caseload is going, that we could be in a position of eliminating a judge. And I think the fact that we have the capacity to be able to manage this problem right now without expending any additional resources, we should fully explore that. Which brings me down to the cost issue. So, as we've gone through this process, the costs, to be able, the court has made a decision to move resources around to accommodate that, the court portion. But there are likely additional costs outside of that. I had a conversation with folks in the prosecutor's office. In need of another prosecutor to be able to support this is likely to come. That's not before us right now. I've asked the question of the sheriff, and a request for another deputy to support this has been put in, right? Is that correct?
We will make a request, yes.
A request. So there are these additional costs that are coming. So the idea that this is just a $400,000, I'll give you the facilities in a second, a $400,000 cost. The reality is that there's more costs on the horizon, and we don't have a full sense of what all that is. And that, I mean, that's concerning to me, because especially if we're going to be pledging these resources for a long period of time. All at the same time where I actually do believe we do have the capacity today. Now, I don't know if the capacity today is going to be the same as capacity tomorrow and long down the road. We certainly know that probate cases are increasing, while all the other caseloads are decreasing. But in the short term, it seems like that we have the ability to be able to manage that. And I think it's actually fiscally more responsible to figure out, let's see what we can do. And then if there's no other way, if we need more than 7 dockets that we can actually provide with our existing capacity today, then we create the judge. The last piece comes down to the facilities issues. And there's actually, I don't want to belabor the facility pieces, because some of us gathered earlier this week and talked about it. But where this judge is going to go still remains a question. I guess the conversation is basically going Judge Hallmark's courtroom to move Judge Hallmark into a different courtroom. The problem is in that courtroom, because I went to go tour it, the judge's chambers back end of it is being used by staff in the probate court, and it's pretty packed over there. I mean, if anyone's ever toured the probate court, I mean, in my 10 years here, I've never done that until a few weeks ago. And the courtroom itself is actually being used for training and other services to help support the administration of the probate issue. I just think these are all things that are going to have to get addressed. Now, do we have a year to address this after the judge comes in? Sure. But it does seem like we're kind of boxing ourselves into something that I've sat back, I mean, I've spent a considerable time to say, is there like another way to be able to do this? There's no question in my mind, based on what we had before, is that 7 dockets of work need to be addressed. And right now, 6 people are doing 7 dockets. But there is capacity for a 7th docket. I know that the way that 7th docket used to be handled was split among 2 judges over in probate to handle that. I understand, I mean, the family division made a request that, well, we just only want 1 judge doing a full docket. And for whatever reason, we couldn't get to a compromise on that. That's disappointing to me, because that would, I think, at least in the short term, resolve all this, and I would be supportive of keeping the visiting judge to do the non-domestic PPO, which are time-consuming, to deflate the workload and hopefully improve our the efficiency of that court. So the fact like all this exists right now, I mean, I think this is premature. I would like to hash out what's the full fiscal implications of what we're doing, which we're not doing, particularly this committee generally always does before we take a leap. I think we have to get a better sense of the facility issue that's in place. And it's disappointing me that, leadership of both the courts weren't able to come to a compromise. That being said, just yesterday, new leadership was named, and I would like to see if there's a way that you can move some conversation, if there's a way to resolve this without increasing funding unnecessarily, to do what needs to be done. That 7th docket needs to get addressed. But I'm also, caseload still is down, and looking to the horizon to spend all this money and then come to the point with the next scale report and says, nope, now you're overjudged. Seems a little foolhardy.
Can I address some of those?
Yes, go ahead and address some of
Okay.
those. Oh, what, before you start.
The reason I wasn't
Yeah.
addressing, the judge,
Yeah.
just like at these meetings and everything, we've been
Right,
talking about this.
right.
This is more of a conversation for
Right.
folks who I know haven't made.
And this is part of the reason it was pulled off the agenda last time. And I've met with Dave and Kevin, and I've learned a lot about circuit court and probate court. And but that's why it's on the agenda today. Next, I have, Tab was on there. But she's
Well, I'm gonna pass for now.
okay, Long, and then Zach.
All right, so now, you guys probably know that 'cause you did a bunch of studying here. Circuit Court, we have one visiting judge right now.
Part-time.
Part-time.
Mhm.
They have security, obviously, right?
No.
No, they don't have security? So
No.
that would be additional cost then.
I mean, like, they don't have anyone in their courtroom, if that's what you mean.
Right.
None of us
Like
do.
a deputy, so that is additional.
No,
We don't have deputies in the courtroom
Right.
full time.
Right.
It depends on the court call, what's going on that particular day.
Okay.
In
Right.
Wayne County, they have deputies in there all the time. In Wayne
Right.
County, they do it
So once in a
differently
while,
than
you
we
could
do.
have been in a visiting judge if they
Depending upon what
requested,
the case is.
depending upon the case.
If it's called, they come running.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah,
cost would
they
be
do.
full, I'm just
Well,
trying to figure out the extra costs and
And the
stuff with it.
the personnel, the only thing I'll say about that is before, one of the issues, and it's, believe me, we've spent a year trying to resolve different things, but one of the issues is if having one judge hear one docket helps the sheriffs because they don't have to cover 2 courtrooms for one docket. It helps the prosecutors. They don't have to cover 2 courtrooms for one docket. So our idea of having one judge hear one docket would, in my opinion, I don't know, maybe the sheriffs lost staff or maybe the prosecutors lost staff when we went down to 6 judges, but that would be the same need as we had a year ago. All right, so that's with that. Our opinion is if we don't split the docket, it assists us not only just with the sheriffs and the prosecutors, but our litigants and our attorneys, our front of the court staff. I mean, we're splitting people literally, having them cover more courtrooms because we can't get one judge to hear docket.
Right,
So
so the visiting judge goes to different dockets.
right now,
Whatever a judge can't
Well,
you can refer him to that.
the visiting judge right now
Does that work?
only hears non-domestic personal
Right.
protection orders.
Okay.
So anything not associated with one of our cases,
Okay.
if it's associated with one of our cases, we hear that still because we believe in the one judge, one family, right? So I had PPO docket this morning. A lot of them are divorce cases, etc. So we keep all those. This is just
Okay.
neighborhood disputes,
Okay.
perhaps employment issues. I can't even think of all the ones that might be there, but
And then is it, like Commissioner Woodward would say, are there caseload going down?
our caseload is flat.
Okay.
But I'm here because even though I dispute some issues that have been raised, I certainly believe that we have an obligation to explore all options. And truly, with respect to the probate court, it wasn't our desire not to have them. It was our inability to reach an agreement that we just had a philosophical difference on this. And I think I'm used to saying Judge. Commissioner Woodward had a good point that we know that the probate numbers right now substantiate more than 3.5 probate judges. And they can't say to us, well, we can help you right now, but we might not be able to help you next year. I mean, historically, because I'm a little historian, when we started family division, we had, out of the 4 probate judges, because I was probate registrar at the time, we had 2 2/3 probate judges hearing family division cases. That has now gone down to less than one. So, and it's not because they don't want to help us. It's because their needs are what they are. All right. So that was one consideration for us. I will indicate that with respect to there will be a new time study done in 2018 or 2019. And we looked at all the numbers for the top 5 counties. All right. How many cases per judge? And we are either over that number or we are at the same. So unless they drastically change that number situation or the weighted caseload study or something, every single county, every large county in Michigan, well, every county would be overjudged. So if that's the case, I can't predict what that would be. But I would indicate that we have mandatory retirements. So we have 2 or 3 coming up. So I guess in 2019, if they decide that we are overjudged, which we can't make that guess, we wouldn't run a seat. I mean, we did that before with Jack McDonald's. We didn't run his seat to save money, not because of other reasons. But, I mean, we're here because we believe we had that need. We believe we did the homework. With respect to facilities, I know that, Ken, is an issue out there. When we came down here in front of HR and Public Services, and question was asked about that, our response was there's 24 courtrooms in this building, there's 23 judges. Probate didn't come to us and tell us that they had put a staff member in a judge's chambers. We didn't know that, and that recently occurred. So that wasn't since 2011 when Judge Moore retired. That courtroom and those chambers have been vacant until a few months ago. So we had no idea that they put a staff person in there. And we also have discussed that if there's staff space around, I mean, you know, judicial chambers are pretty expensive staff equipment. You know, there's a bathroom in them. There's, you know, so I mean, we would assist if there's a need for probate court. If there's space we have, we would be willing to work that out as well. And we know we have time to do that. We're not closing the door to anything. So, I mean, I guess those are some of. And I would also point out that the probate court supports this request. They recognize the need for that additional judge, or at least they've indicated to us that they have supported it. The leadership issue, it was a full bench vote for us. It wasn't just 2 people, you know, doing this. This was a full bench vote. So as far as we know, unless all of our colleagues have changed their opinion in the last few weeks, we've done all that. So I'm just trying to answer some of the concerns that Commissioner Woodward has, and he knows we've had discussions, we've had meetings, trying to answer those questions. So.
Okay, wait. Long.
That was it for me.
Okay. Next is Helene.
So, like Commissioner Woodward, I've spent a lot of time reading SCAO reports, the 2015, 2017, calling the SCAO representative, talking to judges to come to this position, to my vote. And in HR, I did take a vote in favor of it and did, based on the capacity that we need that 7th docket for family court. And I don't dispute the numbers of that, but I've since learned that we do have some other capacity to serve that. And, you know, we can do in other ways, probate court. I also heard from the SCAO representative that concurrent funding units can share resources. And if you look at the SCAO report, they're showing that we almost have two judges excess in the 52nd district courts. And there was a point where those judges helped out a little bit on PPOs for a short period because they feared that they were going to lose their judgeship positions. So there's some capacity there that maybe we could have some rotation, handle those PPOs differently. I just think that organizationally there are questions about serving the capacity needs internally, maybe even adding on visiting judge resource a little bit without taking this whole large expense. I still don't know the cost of adding on this judgeship. You know, I had been told previously it's $1 million a courtroom. And we have some really big facility issues with courtrooms and accessibility, things coming before us. We don't have those numbers. So I want to support the judges. I want to support the families, the residents of Oakland County. I'm not prepared to vote on a new judge today. I think that it's premature.
And I think that's a really good point about the rotation for the 52nd District Courts. This is what we did have at one point. We had a personal protection or rotation. We had like a schedule, and every week a new judge came up and assisted us with a docket, and that's since terminated. But I want to point out that the reason they created the family division was so that one judge would be the person assigned to that family. I've had cases now, I've only been a judge for 3 years, but you know, when Joan Young was in, she had cases from when the child was 1-year-old to 18-year-old. It doesn't suit to have different judges rotate in and out of dockets. A visiting judge that we have, we can't even get a full-time visiting judge to hear our PPOs, which are pretty much done on that day. One-shot hearings for the most part. Sometimes they come in with all different motions. So, I mean, it maybe there would be other things that they could do, but it would be easier. And if 52nd is overjudged, then that's an issue for 52nd. But I think we can't think that having a family have a different judge, even once or twice a year on different matters, makes no sense to me. I know my docket. When I get my sheet, I go down and I look at whatever motions I have, and I know this family and this family and this family and this, and that makes a difference in how you can move cases along, the consistency and the expertise that the family division was created to have. That's exactly why they were created to have it. And with respect to the courtrooms, I know in the tower, not just probate courtrooms, but the tower has, most of our courtrooms weren't built when we had ADA regulations, and so all of them, not just probate courts, but any of the ones that the circuit court towers are sitting in, may need some renovations, which I know we've talked with facilities and those types of things for long-term planning. So, I mean, I think we have a year to figure out if there's revisions or something that needs to be made in the courtroom that's not being used. Without building, we're not here asking to anyone build a new courtroom.
Okay.
That's not our request. But
okay, I have Tom and then Zach. Excuse me. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I will be supporting this for one major reason, well, many major reasons, but one in particular. I know that you've had the, as I understand it, excuse me, the family court docket was so large that there were probate judges stepping in to handle it as well. You know, we have something in this county that my next door neighbor here deemed or called the silver tsunami. We are aging out here, and the more seniors we have, the more probate work we will have, period. I don't care what anybody says, but I know it and you know it, sitting at the end of the table. And so with more probate work, that's going to be more work for the probate court, which I get. And that judge, whoever that judge or those judges may be in probate who are giving you a hand now in family, will not be available. Again, it was stated that in 2020 there will be some retirements. You just don't run another, you know, just eliminate a place if SCAO says so. But where are we going to be in a year or two or a year or so without another family court judge, and all of a sudden the probate docket soars? I don't know. So we have a courtroom, okay? Yeah, it's going to need some sprucing up. I agree, I get it. Yes, all the courtrooms need some ADA stuff. That would have come anyhow. So I will be supporting this because I want to look not only to today and tomorrow, but to the future as far as who's going to be where. I'm sure that the court can figure it out themselves, okay? If they can't figure it out, let's be fair about this. Mr. Patterson is the one person who has the right to tell you where you go in the buildings, okay? It's his job to tell people, you know, what spaces they can have, along with Art Holdsworth, wherever Art is. But that's their job. It's not our job. And I don't know whether people taking over a courtroom, whether that was authorized. Was it authorized? You don't know.
Well, it's a long story, but
Okay.
we
Okay. I don't want to go.
We've had cooperation
Okay.
Yeah,
between the
we
chief
have.
judges and
Yeah.
facilities.
So
and
I
it
just
works
want to
out.
make sure that next year, after the election, there will be a judge in place to take over, because who knows what the probate court docket was going to be like. So I will be supporting this. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Zach again.
So I just want to, in response to Judge Langdon, with due respect, I'm not suggesting that visiting judges or 52nd handle family PPOs. You know, the non-case, the ones that are visiting judge, that's not assigned to a case. That would be part of the organizational capacity. I don't want, I do support the one judge with one family.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
And I had a chance to talk to the scale people also, and we talked a lot about all these issues that have been here. I brought about the business because there's discussion that we have 2 judges assigned to business cases.
Right now we do, yeah.
And I said, there's talk that that's maybe, and she agreed with that there is a chance. But even between circuit and probate or within circuit, judges can move around and take on different cases. And that's why probate had been doing some family judgeship, is to help balance that out. You're elected as a probate judge, but you can do family stuff
If
to
assigned.
keep it, especially in Oakland County it's not as bad, but in small counties that is a very critical thing that they share those responsibilities. So, Shelley?
I just have a curiosity question, just curious. I suppose now that since you aren't going to be supporting this judgeship, you won't be supporting anybody running for the judgeship as well. Just a question.
No, I don't think that has any connection. So, and let's leave it at that, Dave. Is there any other discussion? If not, let's call the roll on this, on item number 1.
Colwell.
Yes.
Zach.
No.
Long.
Yes.
Taub.
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes.
Crawford.
Yes.
Woodward.
No.
Bowman.
No.
Middleton.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Next is item number 2, friend of the court, fiscal year 2017. Wait, before you leave, Kevin, we have new chief judges. Their name?
Judge
Kate?
Kumar and Judge Ryan for probate. Judge Kumar for circuit and Judge
Kate.
Ryan for probate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Item number 2, friend of the court, fiscal year 2017 through 2021, Cooperative Reimbursement Program, CRP grant amendment under 15%. Need a motion. Crawford is moving it. Colwell is supporting it. So go ahead. Susan.
Thank you. I'm Suzanne Hollier from the Friend of the Court, and I'm here with a small restructuring request. We have noticed in our interstate unit that their caseload has gone up in the last several years. And it's not just that the caseload's gotten bigger, the law has changed and it's slightly more complicated. So for example, now any resident of the county who maybe was divorced in another state and their divorce remains managed in that other state can come to us and ask for services and assistance in appearing like by phone in their other state, but using our office and our staff to help facilitate that. So that combined with the increasing caseloads on these really complicated interstate cases has caused us to request a new domestic support specialist position for that unit. Additionally, our scanning department has been doing higher level stuff these days. We've developed kind of our own in-house e-filing so that we can put our front of the court generated documents into the circuit court file electronically. They're managing help desk functions. Right now they're testing the new Windows to make sure it works well with the state child support program and that e-filing program I was telling you about. So we're proposing to upgrade 3 positions in that department and paying for most of this by eliminating a position, one of the lower level positions in that department, which is done through retirement. So it's not like anyone loses their job in all of this. All these positions are grant funded, and for the most part entirely will come under that grant funding that's available through the state of Michigan. So are there any questions?
Any questions for Suzanne? If not, call the roll on item number 2.
Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Cowell? Yes. Middleton?
Yes, motion carried.
Thank you.
Suzanne. Next is item 3, Sheriff's Office fiscal year 2018 Secondary Road Patrol and Traffic Accident Prevention Program grant acceptance. I need a motion. Fleming and Crawford. So, go ahead.
Good morning. The grant started in 1978. It used to fund 17 deputies. We're down to 5 now. It used to be all general fund. It's now funded by a surcharge on civil infractions of $10. Statewide, we were cut $1.2 million. It resulted in a loss of 1 position for us. We've tried to work with the legislature to do something about it, but no success at this point in time.
Any questions? If not, we'll call the roll on item number 3.
Long?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Cowell?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Next is item 4, Sheriff's Office fiscal year 2018 Auto Theft Prevention Authority, the ATPA grant acceptance. Need a motion. Zach is moving it. Crawford is supporting it.
It started in 1986. It's funded by a $1 surcharge on all car insurance policies and finally commercial vehicles. We got a bill passed earlier this year that extends it to fleet vehicles, which brings in an additional about $600,000 statewide. It's a 50-50 grant. Used to be funded at 100%. It's, again, one of those things that's never kept pace with inflation. We run 2 teams, a north team, which is housed here at the Sheriff's Office, and the south team, which is being moved to the Southfield PD back right now. Southfield PD has joined with our unit, our South End unit, so we also have a Detroit police officer in that unit. There's a Detroit police officer. We have a deputy in the Detroit squad, which works out great for us, so we're pleased to accept this grant.
Any questions? If not, call the roll on item number 4.
Taub?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Cowell?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Next is item number 5, Water Resources Commissioner, Water and Sewer System Operation and Maintenance Agreement between the County of Oakland and the Charter Township of Royal Oak. And Zach is moving that.
Yes.
And Long is supporting. Okay,
Good morning.
go ahead.
I'm Kelsey Cook from the Water
And there's a
Resources
blue sheet
Commissioner's
on that.
Office.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I need to say there's a blue sheet on that, right?
No.
Oh, this, okay, go ahead then.
No
Okay.
problem. So we're here today to ask for approval of the operation and maintenance agreement for the Township of Royal Oak. This is for their water system and a separate contract for their sewer system. So for all of the communities we serve, we are trying to implement new contracts that are more comprehensive than what we've had in the past, provide greater protection to the county, and have a more detailed scope of services to outline the exact services we're providing for the community. So this work is done on a nonprofit basis, and the county's costs and overhead are incurred will be compensated from the revenue of the system. If in any case the overhead or costs exceed the revenue for that year, then rates would be adjusted to cover that expense to the county to keep the nonprofit operation and maintenance in place. So this contract is similar to ones you may see in the future, and it was developed by myself. I worked with also with Keith Lermano, and we've also worked with Bob Erlenbeck from Risk Management.
Commissioner Taub and then Commissioner Zach.
Okay, who is going to be collecting the water bills, or the money that's paid for the water and sewer bills?
Go ahead.
So that's included in the agreement, and that comes to our billing center over on Dixie Highway. So
Okay.
WRC collects the revenues and the bills. We do the billing, we collect the revenue.
So the township will not see any of those funds, is that correct?
Yeah, so there's a separate county fund set up for Royal Oak Township Water, a separate fund set up for Royal Oak Township Sewer. If the township wishes to access that fund, then in writing, they make a recommendation to us or a request to access that fund, and typically we'll get with fiscal services, make sure that we have enough cash balance and are able to provide, essentially money from their residents.
Okay, because for many, many years, we struggled paying the sheriff, getting the sheriff paid. So I wanted to make sure that you were handling the funds, the money was coming directly to you, and then whatever's left over, whatever Royal Oak Township can can get. Whatever.
Yes, essentially there was a court order in place for many years for Royal Oak Township because they weren't covering expenses, and particularly at one time they owed GWK a significant amount of money. So at that time the court actually ordered WRC to take control of the system so that in the case of GWK would get paid that debt that they owed. So that has since been rescinded, and that's what sort of required this operations and maintenance. They still wanted us to operate the maintenance and maintain their system on their behalf, and they made significant strides as far as the cash balance and how they're running the business.
So will we get a report on what you collect, and I mean, it's a very poor township, and a lot of people have difficulty paying their water and sewer and water bills, or their water bill, however you want to say it. So are you going to be writing off a whole lot of stuff, or are we going to get a write-off thing, or what's the plan?
They get certified, unpaid balances get certified to the tax roll.
And if they pay their, yeah, but they have to pay their
So
taxes.
but the water and sewer system is made whole when it's put on the tax roll, unless there's a charge back. But that's the process. They don't write them off.
Okay, but
And they have, if there's a draw, if there's a request from the township, they have to use it for water and sewer purposes. They can't just use it for anything that they want. These rates are set for the purpose of operating and maintaining their system.
okay. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Zach.
So I just want to go on record, there's a new day in Royal Oak Township. I used to cringe coming to Finance Committee when the bills weren't paid with the Sheriff's Department. And, it was the first couple of years I was here. And they have been under consent agreement for several years. They have a wonderful manager there right now. And I had a meeting last year where they showed me their, talking about their books, and they're on top of things. So it is
It's much improved.
much improved. But they don't have, a police contract. That's another story. But as far as operations. So my question about this, is this going to include improvement to water infrastructure in the township, or is it just maintenance?
So actually, we work hand in hand, and as you said, they had a consent manager that we've worked with on a number of things and are working with for things in the future also. She's very insistent that that they do need to make improvements in the system, and they use their money wisely. So I think later on the agenda they'll talk about a project in Royal Oak Township, which is a water project that is moving forward. They got a significant grant for that project. They've also got a SAW grant. I think we've talked to you about our SAW grants before, and that grant will be used to improve the sewer infrastructure. So yes, they are looking at making improvements to the
Good,
infrastructure.
because I was aware that they need to do it, so I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
The SAW grants are state of Michigan grants, aren't they?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so. Okay. Any other questions on item number 6? Item number 5. And item number 5 passed planning and building unanimously, just for, I know. Call the roll on item number 5.
Fleming,
Yes.
Crawford.
Yes.
Woodward.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Cowell. Yes. Zach.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
Taub.
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes, motion carried. Now I will take a motion on item number 6, Water Resources Water System Operation Maintenance Agreement between the County of Oakland and the Charter Township of Oakland. And to note, that passed planning and building unanimously with Quarles absent. I'll need a motion. Fleming and Long. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So this is an operation and maintenance agreement with the Township of Oakland for their water system. Again, it's based on our template that we have recently developed that we intend to put in place in all the communities that we serve to operate their water system on a nonprofit basis with any costs recovered through the revenues of the system. They also have a separate enterprise fund for their water system where the rates will be deposited and then our charges will be taken from. Recently, the Township of Oakland's water system was transferred from the County of Oakland back to the township. So we had found that over the years, different assets and facilities in the township had become owned by the county, whether it be by deed from a developer or some other method as the township was built out. And so the Board of Commissioners approved as the township desired to take that ownership back. And so now this operation and maintenance agreement puts in place the guidelines and the scope of services for the Water Resources Commissioner to operate and maintain their water system.
Okay. So previously the township took all of these developments and things and put them all together. Now we're making an agreement that with that group all together, then we're going to do the maintenance for them.
Correct.
Okay, that's the way I understand it. Todd.
I was a little surprised to see Oakland Township because I thought they were mostly on wells and septics.
So it's a combination. Again, there are some, it's developed over time, some actually rather large developments have occurred. There aren't community well systems though. The very southern piece of Oakland Township actually gets some water from Rochester Hills. They're on Great Lakes Water Authority water. And then the rest of the township is either on private wells or, again, subdivisions that came up. In some cases, the developers decided to put community wells in. A lot of those have been interconnected, and now there's larger well systems throughout the county or throughout the township.
What about the sewer system? Are they all on sewers or septics?
Same situation.
Okay.
Those same developments, if they put in a community well, they likely connected to the sewer system also. In this case, there was an immediate need to approve the water O&M because the transfer of ownership went from the county to Oakland Township, and they needed somebody to operate and maintain it for them. We've also requested them to take a look at our sewer operations and maintenance agreement, and they're in the process of doing that right now. So that'll be something that we'll be bringing back at a later date.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any other questions on item number 6? If not, call the roll.
Crawford.
Yes.
Woodward.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Cowell. Yes. Zach.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
Taub.
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is item number 7, Human Resources request for a not to exceed $99,250 loan from the long-term revolving fund for the, Oak Knob Drain Rehabilitation Project. Commissioner Taub moved it. Who supported it? Colwell supported it. Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, I'm Mike McMahon, Chief.
And there's a blue sheet. We had to, after, this was kind of hurried up through the system, and we, the blue sheet, where are the changes? Oh, this is a report to amend. Okay, and then farther down in the blue sheet is the document that's been amended. Okay, now go ahead.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Mike McMahon, Chief Engineer with Water Resources Commissioner's Office, and this is Jeff Wilson, who's a project manager, who's overseeing the project that we're discussing here. And as you indicated, we're here today to seek your approval of a loan from the long-term revolving fund program that the county has. This is for a project in the Oak Knob Drainage District, which is one of our Chapter 4 drains, which are assessed to individual property owners.
Geographically, where is it in the county?
It's located in Bloomfield Hills, and it also involves Bloomfield Township.
Okay.
I'm going to let Jeff give you some of the details of the project and why we're asking you for this loan.
That's correct. We had I'm Jeff Wilson, drain maintenance engineer, and we had a routine inspection back in around February, and we had determined that a pipe was in poor to critical condition. It's underneath Losser Road in Bloomfield Hills. And so we had found out that the Road Commission was undertaking a resurfacing project this year. Right. And so we had gone to the communities and basically presented that the best way to fix this is to do it prior to the road project and in coordination with. That way it would be done cheapest, most cost-effective, least disruptive to the community. And this drainage district is a special assessment district, and within the community of Bloomfield Hills, we have about 12 properties, as you can see on Exhibit A, that would be responsible for about $99,000 within this special assessment district. And so we are requesting a 5-year loan from the long-term revolving fund in order to allow the residents the opportunity to pay this off over a 5-year period.
Okay, Commissioner Taub.
Well, Lazar, that area of Lazar and Long Lake is the dividing line between the city and the township. You have properties in the township area as well, private homes, and I think there's some condos there as well as at the corner.
Correct.
At the well, who's going to pay for that?
So Bloomfield Township had agreed to pay their residents' portion of the drainage district. So we did offer them the opportunity to borrow the money for that. They declined. They have the funds available to pay on their residents' behalf.
Okay, so the residents in Bloomfield Township will not be charged personally, okay?
That's correct.
But the residents in the city of Bloomfield Hills will be charged. How are those charges going to, or you don't know how they're going to come out?
Well, those will be assessed to them per kind of our normal mechanisms of collection for drain assessments.
Okay, now, one other quick question. When is this going to get done?
The project itself?
Yeah.
It is already complete. The pipe portion, this $184,000 lining project, that was completed at the end of September.
Okay, so now I can yell at the road commission to pave the road, correct? Because they stopped short.
I won't recommend that, but you may.
Okay. I will. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, any other discussions on item number 7?
We have a report.
Oh, we have a report. This blue sheet is a report. So first we have to move the report. Taub is moving it. Colwell is supporting it. Support the report. Roll call on the report.
Bowman?
Yes.
Colwell? Yes. Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Next, we have to vote on the fiscal note. Call the roll.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Colwell? Yes. Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
And also, I should make a note that building and planning had passed that unanimous. So, okay, next is item number 8. Number 8, Water Resources Commission resolution to authorize Oakland County and Royal Oak Township Water Supply System Improvement Bond Series 2017. Again, Zach is moving that, and Fleming is supporting it. So go ahead, Sid.
Good morning, Sid Lockhart, Water Resource Commissioner's Office. We're asking for approval for an Act 342 contract to approve the feed from the City of Detroit water main to Royal Oak Township's distribution system. There's a memo in the packet that showed from the Ferndale Fire Department that they went to fight a fire, didn't have enough water. HRC had modeled this system, concluded that it needed to be upgraded. So we're asking for approval to authorize issuance of bonds up to $400,000 along with approval of the 342 agreement.
Any questions? Did you bring Phil along just for ancient history in case somebody brought it up?
He's been working on this behind the scenes, getting to this point.
Okay, any questions on item number 8? If not, call the roll.
Kowal?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Cobb?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried.
Thank you for fast
Next
tracking
is
this.
item, pardon?
Thank you for fast
Okay.
tracking this. all.
Next is item 9, Department of Health and Human Services, Health Division, Invest Health Grant, bus stop amenity improvements in the city of Pontiac, interlock agreement between the County of Oakland and Suburban Mobile Authority Transportation SMART. Need a motion. Bowman is moving that, and Fleming is supporting it. So, go ahead.
Good morning, Kathy Forsley, Director of Health and Human Services. Just as a bit of background, Oakland County began Healthy Pontiac Weekend a number of years ago to improve health in the city of Pontiac. From time to time, we apply for grants. The Health Division applies for grants to support the goals and objectives to improve health in the city of Pontiac. So this is an example of that. It's a Robert Wood Johnson grant called Invest Health, and the purpose of it is to bring sectors together, to collaborate, to come up with projects to support whatever objective there is in the community. But in this case, they are choosing, and I should tell you that the people that have participated in Invest Health are the Health Division. Commissioner Bowman has participated, Oakland County ADCA, St. Joe's, and Oakland University. And so these representatives over a couple of years have spent time together, and they have gone to various locations in the country to receive training about this. And they have selected a project to improve health by encouraging the use of transportation and making improvements to transportation in the city of Pontiac. So the funding that you see here before you today are to make some improvements to bus stops in the city of Pontiac. And this interlocal agreement is for SMART to do the installations of these improvements and also to maintain it going forward. So this includes one bus stop shelter with integrated solar lighting that includes an internal bench, 4 additional benches placed at various locations, and 5 trash receptacles. It will include the addition of cement pads that SMART is installing. One of the things was observed, a handicapped person, I believe, was observed getting off on a grassy area and having great difficulty utilizing that bus stop because there was no cement pad. So these are the kinds of things that SMART and the Invest Health Group have come together to make these improvements, which will encourage the use of transportation and thereby increasing access to care. And that is the purpose of this project. And if you have any specific questions about the work that's been done, Commissioner Bowman can address those too.
Yeah. Is it kind of a pilot, the lighting, the one bus stop was going to be have lighting? Go ahead.
Well,
Dave.
related to that particular bus stop installation, this is a fairly unique installation specifically for Pontiac, but it's been utilized in other communities. And so we'll have solar panels that will allow additional lighting and even potential charging stations within that station. And so really the overall goal, as Kathy has noted, is we want to improve awareness of the transportation options within Pontiac. And that is essentially improving the accessibility at those stops. As Kathy additionally noted, individuals have a challenge actually utilizing the system that we have in place. And so improving the accessibility, access, ultimately would improve ridership and the opportunity for individuals to get to and from the locations that are most notable for them to travel to, and ultimately support the community's transportation and modality.
Okay. Commissioner Zach Hessler.
I just want to commend you. I think this is great. I represent Ferndale, and Ferndale took one of their shelters and to promote transit, this was a DDA thing, put the art in SMART, and they decorated the shelter and put a living roof on it. I donated some plants for it, and it was a great community happening to do it, and really promotes transportation, the use of it. So I'm thrilled that you're doing it.
Commissioner Cobb.
You said that SMART will maintain this?
Yes.
Yes, there's an interlocal agreement specifically with SMART and Oakland County, more so for the expenditure of funds. There will be about $12,000 that will be expended on these improvements. And that is grant funded, so this is not an item that is going to be coming from the general fund. But yes, SMART has made an agreement to maintain those stops, and they do so currently. But there's an additional participation from the city of Pontiac to maintain trash pickup as well. And so there's an additional caveat. There's also been solidified a Adopt a Stop initiative. And so that is in tandem with the business community, ultimately, again, to wrap their arms around this transportation asset and to make sure that they're maintained and supported throughout the course of the year. And so that'll be trash pickup, snow removal, and particularly potential blight at those stops.
Go ahead.
So you're going to have a business or a person adopt a stop, and they will also be responsible for maintenance as well.
Correct. There's an actual agreement that's been solidified, so they have the opportunity to actually formally engage in the process of maintaining and managing those stops. And again, that is in tandem with the business community and the city of Pontiac overall.
Okay, any other questions? If not, call the roll on item number 9.
Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Tubb?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Goldman?
Yes.
Kowal?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Next is Risk Management Information Technology Policy for Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, the HIPAA, as amended by the Health Act of the Americans Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009 and HIPAA Compliance Project. Need a motion. Fleming is moving it, Todd is supporting it. So. Okay, wait a minute, I better get a different support then. Fleming? Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Bob Erlenbeck from Oakland County's Risk Management Department. I'm here with Michael Tim from Information Technology and Kevin Bertram. We're here today to discuss compliance with the HIPAA regulations, which deals with protecting the privacy of healthcare information for employees and for the public. We've developed a cross-organizational team composed of human resources, health, information technology, sheriff's office, purchasing, corporation counsel, amongst other individual departments across the county to deal with this issue. And today we have before you a policy document for the board's approval. Along with that policy document, we're requesting funds to continue work that we've already begun, and this is for the development of procedures, updating of information technology applications, audit processes for this system, and also the training of all employees. Is there any questions?
Yes, Commissioner Tobb has one.
Well, you know, I will vote for this at the board meeting, but I'm not going to support it now because I hate unfunded mandates. The federal government put this HIPAA thing out in the 1990s, I think, late 1990s, and it's caused all kinds of problems and expenses, particularly for not only the county, but for individual physicians, for hospitals, and with no funding at all. And one of these days, we've started a little bit in the State House, and the governor promises me he's going to push it more, keeps saying that, putting fiscal notes as we do in Oakland County on all of our policy. We know what it's going to cost us to do something here. They don't,
keep going.
But we knew there were prices on that. We know what it's going to cost us in the county, but the people who are supposedly in the big leagues in Lansing and in Washington, they just vote these wonderful bills and laws in and don't care what it costs the average taxpayer or the average municipality. So that's why I'm voting no right now. I will support it in the board meeting, but I just, it infuriates me, and I know it has to be done. And I commend you for your work and thank you for it. But it will, I'm just aggravated, that's all, so.
Okay, any other comments? If not, call the roll on item number 9.
Long,
Yes.
Tubb,
No.
Fleming,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Kowal. Yes. Zach,
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes, motion carried. Next is item number
Thank you.
10, Risk Management Information Technology Policy Health Insurance Portability Account for the 1996 HIPAA as amended.
We just did
Didn't
that
we
one.
just
We
do
just
that
did
one?
that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're on number 11. Okay, so now I'm bringing before you item number 11, Department of Information Technology, Universal Communication and Collaboration Program, Network Equipment Replacement Project. Tob is moving it, Long is supporting it. You didn't want to talk about HIPAA?
No.
Okay.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry, Commissioner Topp, no.
Yeah.
So-
You would rather talk about a $10 million project that's going to benefit
No,
Oakland
understood,
County.
understood.
So,
Um,
okay, let's give Phil our attention.
Commissioners, in front of you, we have, it's a large project, but we're coming with phase 1 of the project to really redo our communications infrastructure for the county.
We just voted on it, but I
We
need your
have
support.
a number of assets that we have. We have a very large wide area network in OakNet. We have our local area network here at the county. And then we have all of our telecommunications systems, wireless, whatever it may be, that are all are working together to provide a service to the people that are delivering services to the citizens, which is telephonic, some video, and whatever other pieces we have. We're here to, right now, we're at end of life in a number of our infrastructure components. And in front of you, we have the network portion, which is phase 1 of the project. And the project will be to redo our end switches, our core, and our end switches that are connecting us to all of our departments and divisions of county government. But it will also allow us to create a software-defined network too, where it will change the technology that we use to actually manage the network longer term. So it is best practice. It actually is right up on the front of the edge of technology now, because networking has shifted dramatically because of what runs over networks today. In the document, in the item number 11, you'll see that what's the breakdown for phase 1, but we also wanted to provide you with what we're anticipating for phase 2 and phase 3. Phase 1 is the network, which is really the foundation where all of this technology will ride. The second phase is voice over IP telephony. And because we are moving away from copper and we're moving away from traditional telephone systems, it will all be across the data network. And so it's really become a data issue, not so much a voice issue. So we're going to replace the telephone. And then the third phase is our wireless and mobile capabilities. So we have a number of mobile workers out there. We have wireless issues in our facilities and on our campus. Today, we only have 50 network access points. We're looking at upwards of 600 when this is done. We will create a private network for government employees to use, and then there will be a public network for the public to use. Today, we have one. It's a public network. Some county employees have adopted it to use in conference rooms when they're doing some other county businesses. We believe a better solution would be to bifurcate those networks, create one for employees, create one for the public, and it will be in a number of our facilities. And when we get to phase 3, we can talk more about that in the future. But the reason we broke it into 3 phases, each of these phases can live on their own. What we didn't want to do is to try to come in and say, okay, I need $10 million to go ahead and do all these phases. We want to do the first one, which is the network. We have to do that. We're running so much data over the network today. We have video running across the network. We have Office 365, which is our email platform, running across there. So we need to do this anyway for the network. Then we'll get to voice. Then we'll get to wireless. So in your packet, you also have a document, and Carl Wilson, our manager of technical systems and networking, worked with his team, and I think the document is excellent. It talks about the benefits. It talks about the reasons why we need to do things. But it also has a breakdown of where the money will come from. Okay, so if you can see today, what we're after is the 4.211324 out of the general fund.
General fund balance assignment.
Fund balance assignment.
Yep.
And by the way, that fund balance assignment has been there. We've had it for the last couple budgets where we planned for this. But then also from the building authority, which was bond dollars that we had previously for technology, is where the 1277322 will come from. Okay. If anyone has any questions for us, we're happy to answer those. It is a large initiative that will benefit the county longer term, and we look forward to the conversation.
Okay. Todd has a question, but I have one before that. What's the timeline? What's the most optimistic timeline?
So the whole project,
yeah,
we're looking at a 24-month period.
Oh, that's not bad.
Phase 1, though, so what'll happen is we'll be coming back in the spring to start the VoIP phase or the second phase, because these things can actually operate. We can do these things concurrently, and they can work alongside each other, but we need to get phase 1 started to a certain point before we bring phase 2, which is VoIP. After that. Okay. So we're looking at 12 months for phase 1, but 24 months for the entire project.
Okay. Commissioner Todd.
Well, I have 3 things. First of all, commendations again on being the best IT county in the country.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And I understand you're going to be on the cover of a magazine soon.
Not sure if I'll end up on the cover, but we're gonna be recognized again.
Well, Phil is going to be Executive of the Year for Governing Magazine, which is also wonderful. Yeah, I thought maybe you could be like, the Rolling Stones or whatever. Okay, I'm not going to say congratulations to your football team because I never do that.
Go green, by the
way. Is that going to improve our service in our Board of Commissioners?
Yeah, when we get to the wireless piece, understand is we had a limited wireless network. It was never meant to be a full-fledged wireless network for all of our operations.
Okay.
So this project in the phase 3 will help accommodate that. But
Will
phase
I live
1,
that long?
well, the reason is phase 1 is important because the network has to be able to handle that traffic.
Right.
So we have so much traffic going across the network, we need to make sure it's robust and it's efficient. So that's what that process will be.
Will we eventually be able to sign on to something and stay there while we're in the building?
Yes, Commissioner, thank you for asking that question. I anticipated it today. The reason why you get knocked off of the campus wireless network is because it is a public network. What we were always worried about is the public would get into some of our public areas and say stream movies or do some incredible video stuff that they're just watching, and it would take all the bandwidth away from the others that need to use it. So we put a governor on it so that if they're on there for so many minutes or if they shut their device down, they have to re-log in. The networks that we're going to put in are actually 2 separate networks. There'll be one for county employees. It'll have a different set of rules. And then there'll be one for the public. The one for the public will still have all the governors in place because you never know what the public are going to do. And quite honestly, some public will use our wireless for things that we might not necessarily want them to use it for. Right. So there's going to be controls put in place to make sure that that's taken care of.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, call the roll on item number 11.
Todd?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Cowell? Yes. Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes. Motion carried.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next is item number 12, Department of Information Technology, fourth quarter 2017 development appropriations transfer, and we have a blue sheet on it. So, Go ahead. Oh, I need a motion. Todd is moving it. Long is supporting it. So, go ahead, Phil.
Commissioners, in front of you, you have the resolution to our fourth quarter development appropriation transfer for the work that was already completed for the departments and divisions of county government. If anyone has any questions on this item, we'd be happy to answer them at this time.
The blue sheet has a Clemus non-billable. Is that what was added? Lynn?
This matches, this blue sheet matches the resolution, so it was just a version control. When the actual document got PDF, the wrong version got picked up.
Oh, okay.
So these are the numbers that tie to the resolution.
Okay, any questions? If not, call the roll on item number 12.
Fleming,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Cowell,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes, motion carried.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Is there any other business to come before the Finance Committee? There's an audit subcommittee meeting right after this. If without objection, I'll declare the meeting